At the beginning of the talk show, I would like to introduce Miss Bội Ngọc, known as the Piano Lady, and the owner of the title The Most Creative Piano Teacher. With her piano solo method and modern piano accompaniment, she has helped thousands of people play the piano from 6 to 8 weeks. Her musical journey started when she was a 12-year-old girl. 3 years of learning to play the organ and 4 years of becoming a piano accompanist in a church were the preliminary for Bội Ngọc to practice playing the piano by herself. Along with her determination and constancy, she has created her own playing style. Teaching piano has never been her career orientation. However, this job was somehow bound to her. Realizing the difficulties that an adult learner without valid education may encounter, she has chosen the path of inspiration, designing exclusive piano learning programs, transferring experience, which is simpler and easier to shorten the time for the piano self-learner. Bội Ngọc always believes that playing the piano is the means of enriching people's inner souls, making them more peaceful and more liberal. Therefore, in her teaching method, it is all about the goal that every individual can promote his or her freedom, creativity, and independence. To her mind, the sound of the piano not only spreads love to our loved ones, but also is a thread that connects separate individuals together. Allow me to introduce Frank Peter, a retired engineer and a self-taught amateur semi-pro piano player and music teacher from Albuquerque, New Mexico, USA. Frank is also the creator of the Pianology website and YouTube channel. Frank was not born with any special talents for music. He does not have perfect pitch. Technique did not come naturally to him. He has worked hard to overcome severe problems with freedom. His memory is so-so, and although he enjoys performing, he still deals with performance anxiety. Frank has no musical degrees or diplomas. His musical knowledge is the fruit of countless cycles of frustration and joy, repeated bouts with self-doubt, thousands of hours and thousands of dollars spent over 3 decades on books, recordings, videos, magazines, some private lessons, independent research, a few college classes, playing with others, and a huge amount of plain old hard work. In the often painful process of overcoming so many obstacles along the way, he discovered a priceless lesson that goes way beyond playing the piano. You either have it or you don't. It's a poisonous myth that tragically prevents us all from reaching our full potential. Frank took his first piano lesson at the age of 31 and began teaching music at the age of 40. His life, both musically and otherwise, has been expanded ever since. His areas of expertise are full-body piano technique, effective study practice habits, and the practical application of music theory to learning rhythm music and improvisation. His teaching philosophy is as simple as it is challenging. You cannot be a great teacher unless you are a great student. Much of his teaching challenges long-held traditions, but he never asks you to merely trust what he says, but to put the truth of his lessons to the test for yourself. His aspiration is to teach music in a way that only he can teach, and to make music that he only can make. He invites you to do the same, with the following thought in mind: the greatest gift is not talent, but love.
Hello, it's an honor to have you here in our talk show today. This is the first time for me to interview a foreign pianist. I'm very excited, and I think everybody here is very excited too. Okay, so let's go to our interview today. And according to the introduction about you, what I find very interesting is that your journey to the piano journey is very different than most people. Like for me, I started to learn to play music when I was 12 years old. And for you, it's when you're 31. Like it's when you already have a career as an engineer and you have a busy life and things going on. And can you tell us like what brought you to the music journey and what brought you to the piano? And when you was young, did you like exposed to music or to piano before?
Well, thanks for asking. And hello, xin chào, everyone. It's so nice. I wish I could see all the faces, but hello, hello, hello. So exciting and to be here. What an honor and a privilege to reach across so many miles to meet with you. This is fantastic. So yeah, my musical journey, like you said, was very unconventional. Uh, but I trace most of my love of music, first of all, to having an opportunity to be exposed to music. So, for example, my father would use the piano to, to work out the music for the choir. And so I would sneak up to the piano when I was young and I would kind of do this. And so I kind of taught myself a little bit to play, not really by ear, but by kind of, trial and error.
Yeah.
But I loved it enough that I got maybe a few books to learn about music theory and this and that. But to be honest, I could never really play a song.
Oh.
I just, it wasn't until the age of 30, completely by accident, that I met my first piano teacher.
Yeah.
First big musical door opened for
Yeah.
me.
So when did you first met your first piano teacher and where?
Yeah, so I was 31 years old. I think maybe it was 32. But already I'm an old man, right? I'm older than you are
Yeah.
at the time. I decided, there's this thing called music that just kept, like, I don't know, it just felt like music was calling me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I had this old piano that my father used from the choir. I still had that piano.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided, I'm going to give this piano playing a chance. But what I really need is I need a better instrument. Oh my gosh. So I went to this place where they had all these big, beautiful pianos, you know, big, beautiful pianos that I'd never seen before in my life, like very much like the piano that's behind you.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. And I felt like, oh my gosh, I am unworthy to even touch these instruments.
Yeah.
Right? So anyway, there was one particular instrument that I sat down to play. And as I'm playing, I noticed there's a man underneath the piano. And he was
Yeah, he
doing
was tuning the
something.
piano, right?
Yeah, and it turns out, so to make my long story shorter, it turns out he's a piano tuner.
Yeah.
And he was working there. And he heard what I was playing, and of course it wasn't very good, but what I was playing was mostly improvisation.
Mm-hmm.
And he was amazed that I could just sit down at the piano and play something
Yeah.
because he was a classically trained. It turns out he's also a pianist, quite good
Mm-hmm.
classical pianist
Yeah.
and classically trained. So he played something classical. And so I'm amazed at what he could do at the piano. And he's amazed at what I can do at the piano. But the
Yeah.
amazing thing was he's a piano teacher.
Yeah.
And I decided, hey, to ask, do you give lessons? He says, yes.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of opening many, many, many other musical doors.
Yeah. So the first program or the first method that you learn to play piano is with a classical pianist, classical
Yes.
piano teacher. So how long did you learn classical way? And did you find any struggle when learning in that method?
Well, yes. I mean, I have some good things to say and some not so good things to say.
Yeah.
Right. So let's do the good things. The good things are when I got exposed to the classical music and I got exposed to the beauty of this gentleman's playing. And I realized, wow, there's a lot more to making music than just timing the dots
Mm-hmm.
in the right way.
Yeah.
There's these beautiful things of phrasing and articulation and,
Mm-hmm.
what you do with the time and the flow and how you express yourself. And it really elevated my expectation of what beautiful music making could
Mm-hmm.
be.
Yeah.
But the problem I had was he would just put music in front of me. For example, right?
Okay.
You know, he would just take, music and stick it in front of me and say, "Here, play this." But without any insight or instruction on, well, how do I move my body in order to translate the music I'm hearing in my mind to actual sounds at the piano.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was always frustrated because I felt like I had this music is trapped inside of me and I didn't know how to get it out.
Yeah. So did you feel
So
frustrated when you look at the symbols and the notes and everything, and you couldn't like play, like you couldn't control your both hand together and reading the sheet music at the same time? Do you find it's frustrating? And how do you overcome that? And did you come up with a new way to learn to play the piano?
yes, so here I am. It's 30 years later now.
Yeah.
Yes, and I figured it out. I figured out, first of all, that playing fluently is not about repetitive mechanical training of the fingers,
Mm-hmm.
but it's
Yeah.
about programming our bodies to dance.
Mm-hmm.
It's really learning how to dance. And so we have to figure out for each musical pattern what is the choreography that we
Mm.
want to use at the piano. And you can see it, right? You see the difference between this
Yeah.
and this,
Yeah. You
right?
use the whole
You can see
body.
the music. You can
Yeah.
see the music and how I move my body, right?
Yeah. That's true.
So that was the first part. But the other part is, and this is something I think every teacher needs to give their student, is productive study and practice habits.
Mm-hmm.
So
So,
it's not until recently that I learned how to study and practice in an efficient, in an efficient and in an effective way. The secret to success, it's not
mm-hmm.
necessarily talent.
Mm.
Talent can only take you so far. But if you have highly productive study and practice, notice I didn't just say practice, study and practice habits. If you do that the right way, you'll be amazed at how much progress you can make in a very short time.
Yeah. So many of the audience here are beginners, or like they started to play the piano when they already like mature. So what's your advice on them on the right way to practice and to learn or to approach and to play a song? And I would like you to show me more about that, the right steps
Yeah.
and the myths about what people think about playing piano should be, and the realistic way to play is different.
Right. So I think the first problem is that we'll use this as an example. For Elise is such a famous classical piece. It looks so simple, and some ways it is a very beautiful piece. I think the problem that most people get into early on is they are trained to try to play the symbols,
Mm-hmm.
and this is a big mistake. What For me, what one of the first lessons a teacher should give the student is to realize that we have four musical intelligences.
Mm.
And here's a famous card I show in almost all my YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Right? So you know, these are the four different ways that we can know a piece of music. First of all, with our ears. Right? We
Yeah.
want to have a clear sense in our mind's ear, and our brain really does have like an internal hearing. We want to be able to hear it. We want to be able to think about the music intellectually. So this is where things like music theory
Yeah.
are important, right? If we can see what kind of patterns are being used in the music, like the scales and chords, the meters, the forms, the chord progressions, all these things,
Mm-hmm.
all this helps us understand the music
Yeah.
and what makes it tick. Of course, our eyes, right? We want to be able to see the arrangement and
Mm-hmm.
sequence of the
Yeah.
black and white keys when we play, and also in our visual imagination with our
Yeah.
eyes closed. And then finally, our muscles,
Yeah.
right? So, really, and I want to emphasize something. the ears are on the top for the reason because our ears should always lead.
Yeah.
And so, for example, let me use four Elise for an example, right?
Okay.
When I'm, when I'm playing four Elise, I don't want to be thinking, let's see, E, D sharp, E, D sharp, E, B, C, right? I don't want to be thinking. I don't want to be thinking this. What I want to be thinking when I'm playing is, let me find the notes. Let's see. I want to be thinking ba da 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 dum ba 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 bum ba 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 bum. That's what I want to be going through my mind, not oh my gosh, what note is this? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, which note comes next?
Yeah.
Right? And then the music will just come out, right? Right? And so again to repeat, don't get trapped into thinking you have to play the cymbals. You don't want to play the cymbals. You want to play sounds.
Yeah, I think that's the things that it's a mistake that many people, many beginners that they think about. Like they think I need to do well with the sight reading. I need to read notes well in order to play piano well. And they forget about the ears is the most important. Like what you say is the order of the ears, and then the intellect, and then the eyes, and then the last is the muscle. But people nowadays, they learn it in like in a different order. Maybe they come with the eyes first and then the muscle. They so focus on the finger exercise and they don't focus on the ear themselves. So is it true the order that you say is the most effective way to learn to play a piece?
Yes, I think very much that order is important. And by the way, when I say intellect, I want to say a few words about what I mean by that. So this
Okay.
means music theory, like I said before. But here again is where music is poorly taught. Music theory is not something you study in order to get good grades on a music theory test,
Yeah, that's true.
right? Yeah. You want to study music theory in a way that it helps you perform better.
Yeah.
And so the way music theory is taught is that all these musical patterns are typically taught as nouns.
Yeah.
A scale, a chord progression, a meter. But really, in order to bridge the huge gap between the theory and the practice, we want to understand the music theory, meaning these musical patterns, as verbs. Meaning, what do they do?
Yeah. Can you give us an example of that? You know,
Right.
like
Thanks for asking. That's great.
from the theory into practice, not just theory.
Right. So here's a good one. Like here, these first beginning notes for Elise.
Yeah.
Right. It's like we can read this, right? We can go E, D sharp, E, D sharp, E, B, D, C, A. But the question is, what does this do? Right?
Yeah.
And so, first of all, it outlines, without going into too much detail, this outlines a dominant harmony that sets up the tonic minor harmony in this measure. And so this needs to be understood as that. And
Yeah.
this needs to be understood as something that creates a certain expectation for something to come. Right? And this is where the fluency comes from. Right? So when you're playing this, I don't want to play this like this. You know, I don't want to go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No, this is like me talking. I am going to talk to New York on the Zoom.
Yeah.
No, it's going to be, I am getting ready to talk to Nyok on the Zoom.
Yeah.
Right. And so, that's now how we bridge that gap. And so when I play this, right, you can hear how that understanding comes through in the expression of the music.
Yes, so I can make a conclusion like this. So when beginners approach a new piece of music, the first thing is not to try to read all of the symbols and the notes, but first they need to maybe listen to the music or imagine the melody in their head first, and then use the intellect to understand the piece, like the chords, the harmony, and all the music theory, so that they can interpret the music well. It's not like, okay, I read this line and this line, this note and this note, and then I put it together to a song, but to understand the big picture of the music of that song.
Yes, and this is now when we're reaching the level of comprehension, right?
Yeah.
We're really comprehending the music. Unfortunately, people think that just because they know what the note is, they think they're reading music. But no, they're not reading music. You have to understand what it's saying to you, right? And this takes some time, and this is where the proper study of the music theory is really, really important. And unfortunately, this is something that tends to be lacking in the classical training. Because the classical training, again, is just about, here, play this.
Yeah.
And dot by dot without any understanding at all.
And I think one thing, the disadvantage of that is that it's make people very dependent on the sheet music, and without the sheet music, they couldn't express themselves freely. Or with me, when I was younger, and I play according to sheet music, and without the sheet music, I feel a little bit not confident in myself that I can express this song. And nowadays I play only by ears and by listening and things, and I feel like there's more freedom in that. I can express themselves more freely instead of just like play according to the sheet music, and I need to stick to that symbols. So that's very interesting, and I think that's something that beginners they need to know about this. And next question, in your experience, how long does it take for a person to be able to play piano freely?
Oh, yes. Oh, this is such a great question, right?
Yeah, so many people, they ask this question. They ask me how long for me to play piano fluently, how long? Like the how long is the time frame is very important. So can you tell us about that?
Well, I kind of view music making as just like learning another language. So I see like most of our guests here are from Vietnam, yes? And so
Yeah.
for the English speakers, think about what kind of effort went into learning to speak English
Yeah.
and how long it took you to express yourself in English. Well, I would say, it takes a heartbeat, one heartbeat,
Yeah.
but then it also takes a lifetime. So really, it's not a destination, right? It's a journey.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, and I, by the way, I very much still consider myself a student.
Yeah, I can see that. Like now it's like almost 30 years that you studied to play the piano and playing the piano, and you still on the journey to continue learning. And for me it's the same. There's so many things that I don't know about, like the other genre of music, like the Western genre of music, I don't know about. And it's something that I think people here, when learning to play the piano, don't think so much about the destination but the journey, and you enjoy the music on the journey, and really appreciate like your improvement during the time. And for me, like right now it's 17 years looking back. When I was 12, I can see that the big difference, like each year I know something new, and I think it's very interesting thing, each year you know something new, you can play new thing, you know new people and things like that. It's something that we should appreciate more than okay, how much time it takes to do that, and they so focused on the time frame, and it will be frustrating if they just focus on like that. And okay, we talk about the different genre of music, and right now I think it's very interesting to watch you perform some genre of the music from the West. You know, we very excited to know.
Oh yeah, well yeah, let's give you I'll give you some short examples of the kinds of the kinds of music that I enjoy playing. Some of this is a mix of written music, but also some improvisation too.
Yeah,
But so anyway, let's see. I need my see. You know, I'm 60 years old now because I need these to see my
yeah,
list. I made a list of some styles of music to play. So here's an improvisation of like blues music.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, can we say that? Okay, yeah, that's so pretty good. So let's see.
Wow, so good.
Etc. Yay!
Yeah.
So here's a little taste of American country music.
Okay.
So let's see.
Woo.
So yeah, and now here's some ragtime.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Wow, I like this one.
Great. That's fun. That's written music, by the way.
Yeah.
Here's some. Of course, you know, I still enjoy classical music too. So here's a little classical music.
Yeah. Wow, you play.
You hear my bench squeaking?
Yeah.
Let's see. How about some rock? A little bit of
Okay.
rock piano. Let's see.
Wow. I thought that for me about rock, I think about something like heavy metal rock or rock and pop together. But the way you play rock is different type of rock, isn't it?
Ah, yeah. Well, there's many different styles of rock. So here, there's like more like pop rock. So like one of my things I really enjoy doing
Yeah.
is to accompany a vocalist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I'm not playing the melodies. And one of my favorite tunes is this. It's Maybe I'm Amazed. It's Paul McCartney. So it kind of goes like this. So
think we Vietnamese, like Asian people, we listen to pop rock most of the time. So this is something that I like a lot, and it's familiar, very familiar to us.
Yeah, and oh, by the way, now I think to get to your point, there are so many different kinds of beautiful musics that we can play
Yeah,
besides just classical music, right? And
yeah.
so, I would encourage everyone who's listening to, find the kinds of music that really moves you, that, grabs you, speaks to your heart, right? And that's what you should learn. That's what you should learn how to play, right?
So for you, what type music, what genre of music that represents your personality well? Can you
Oh my
show
gosh,
us? Yeah.
oh my gosh, people are going to think we rehearsed this. They're not going to believe this is spontaneous. But let me give you an example of like one of
Okay.
my favorite things to play
Yeah.
because it is so very intimate is to play like a jazz ballad,
Yeah.
like
Okay.
Autumn Leaves. So here's
Yeah.
my version. I hope I can play it. So something like this, you know.
Wow. I really love this song, and I hear all the version of this song when they play jazz, but they play it more upbeat, and the way that you play jazz is more smooth, and I don't know how to explain this, but I feel very emotional.
Well, thank you. That's my goal. When I play, maybe we'll talk about this in the second half of the interview. But
Yeah.
I think you just touched on it, right? When I play, my goal is not to impress people, like, ooh, look how many notes he's playing, but to
Yeah.
connect with people, right? To move people.
Yeah, that's
And
true. And
a great quote, a great quote, Nyok, that I heard was like, you know, don't listen to me, don't listen to me, listen to the song.
yeah.
So, you mind if I play a few more styles, just a couple,
Yeah.
three more?
Yeah,
Okay.
please. Yeah.
So another one that speaks to me too is I'm not always serious. I like to have fun too, right?
Yeah.
So here's one, right? So it's like, let's see. Whoops.
This one is so upbeat. Is it called Woogie?
Yes, so that style is boogie woogie, and that's one that's like, that makes you want to dance, right?
Yeah. And where which part of your country that they play this type music, or which part in the world that very popular with this type music? Do you know?
Well, what's really interesting is boogie woogie is true piano music, right? You don't hear piano, you don't hear can't speak. You know, it's true piano music, right? You don't hear boogie woogie played on other instruments,
Yeah, that's true.
and so it suits the piano. And this came about. The boogie woogie style now is almost like 100 years old.
Yeah.
It's been around forever. And what's fun about it is that each boogie woogie player has a different style, but we're all still kind of playing the same things,
Yeah.
but in our own way. Just like, again, to speak of music as a language, just as I'm speaking to you, I have a certain, you know, tone of voice and the way I, present myself, that comes out
Yeah.
in the boogie woogie playing. Oh, and by the way, here's what we have time for one more style.
Okay.
A bossa nova. This comes from Brazil.
Yeah. My favorite.
So you're like, right?
Yeah.
Et cetera, and it makes you want to like do this, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing. While listening to your playing, I just like move like this.
Yeah, that's nice to hear. That's my
Yeah.
goal.
Because you play so many genre, and I can notice that each genre they have different rhythm. So how do you recognize different genre and different rhythm, and how do you learn so many different types, and who help you with that? Can you share with us about that?
Yeah, this is no, you make a very good point that each of these styles of music that I played has very, how can I say, it has, each style of music has patterns that make that music sound like that music.
Mm-hmm.
And besides the chords and the forms and things like that, the rhythm is a huge part of what makes each one of those musics sound and feel
Mm-hmm.
like each one of those musics.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like rock music, right? It's, what is the rock music sensibility like? Boom, chaka, boom, chaka, boom, bop, doo, bop, right? Where the bossa nova is like, right? And the country music is like bum, bum, bum,
Mm-hmm.
bum, 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 right? And so, yeah, a big part of learning how to play each of these styles is to make sure that you have internalized a deep sense of what makes the music tick rhythmically. And this, unfortunately, is another thing that's very much underappreciated.
Yeah. So
And
many
so you can
people.
hear it. You
Yeah.
can hear it like people's playing becomes rhythmically sloppy a little bit,
Yeah.
right? And so I'm sorry, I haven't fully answered your question. So how do you get there, right? Well,
Yeah. Yeah.
first of all, you have to study the music to at least intellectually, using your intellect, your minds, your brains. Okay, what is the rhythm? What is the meter? Right? But then you have to translate that now into physical motion somehow. Well, we can get there a variety of ways. Probably the most, how can I say, the simplest, it's to use the metronome, right?
Yeah.
Tick, 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 tick. And so, I would not use the metronome in order to prepare a performance,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
but a metronome can be very helpful in helping us find and fix a misunderstanding
Mm-hmm.
of the rhythm, meaning like where are the notes? Are the notes placed? Are they put in the right place in the meter,
Yeah.
right? And I think again this relates to what we said before about how the ears need to lead.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this also includes the rhythm,
Yeah.
right? So if I don't have an accurate sense of the rhythm, so if I have a misconception of the rhythm, my music just isn't going to flow. It's just something's not going to feel right.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so, there are other ways to get the music inside of you. So you get the metronome, right? You can't see, but you can tap your feet, clap
Yeah.
your hands.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I like to do is this,
Yeah.
which I learned from one of my teachers,
Yeah.
because this gets both sides of your body talking to each other.
Yeah.
But Thank you for waiting for my answer, Nyok. Probably the most effective way to internalize not just the rhythm, but the sounds you want to make in general, is to vocalize
Mm-hmm.
the music. So like let's go back to four Elise, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna play it an octave lower. I wanted this to go ba da 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 dee 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 ba 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 dee dee dee. You know, when you vocalize that, it's very difficult. It's very hard to make a mistake,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right? And so again, this relates to letting your ears lead, and one really great way to now get that music inside you,
Mm-hmm.
not just by sound but by the rhythm,
Mm-hmm.
which is what we're talking about, is to
Yeah.
vocalize it.
Yeah. So that means that when you want to learn a different genre of music, you want to practice it with the right rhythm. Like you can practice it with clapping hands, tapping your foot, or with the metronome. Also, I think one thing we can do is to play along with the drum, with the rhythm, and all the thing. I think that we can play with all the instruments like guitar and all the type of drums. It also can help. And for me, I think you mentioned before that you have learned those genre by socializing with other musicians. And can you tell us more about that? How other musicians can show you different genre of music?
Oh yes, I in fact that's a very good point, York. Yes, so yes, play with a rhythm track is
Yeah.
great because you can't cheat, right? Because they're not going to stop for you. Yeah, no, but I would encourage everyone here, if they have the opportunity, even no matter what kind of music they play with other people. You'd be amazed what you can learn playing with other people. But
Mm-hmm.
also, it's very joyful to play with other people,
Yeah.
right? And so, no, a great example is I learned how to play a reggae pattern, a really cool reggae pattern
Mm-hmm.
in a band. I didn't really know how to play reggae, but I played in a band about 3 years ago, and we were going to play uh, the Bob Marley song "Jammin'." I don't know if you guys know this song, "Jammin',"
No, I don't
but
know
the
that.
piano part starts like this. It goes.
Yeah.
Really cool chord changes. But during the song, when the vocalist is singing, there's a really neat rhythmic pattern, and there's a
Mm-hmm.
name for it. It's called the bubble. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what is this? Well, the only reason I know how to play this is because the guitar player in the band used to
Mm.
play with uh,
Mm-hmm.
a famous reggae musician,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
he taught me this pattern. It
Mm.
just sounds really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But that's an example of, musical language now that has become a permanent part of me that I never would have learned any other way.
Mm-hmm. So for me, in my experience, when I learn all the genre of music, I think it's from the keyboard I have when I was young. When I was from 12 to 15 years old, I started to learn organ. And on the organ, there's so many rhythms. And when I turn on each rhythm, they have different type of drums, and that's why I think I have some ideas about different type of music. But to represent the rhythm on piano, you need to know about the chords, the chord progression for that rhythm. And I think maybe do you get it from the books that you read or all the resources that you have approached? Can you tell me more about the books and the resources material that you use to learn? different types
Oh,
of
yes.
music.
Music in, music out.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to get music out, you need to put music in.
Yeah.
And so what are some of these sources? It's like, well, oh yes. I mean, one of the sources, of course, is written music. It's just learning how to play written music. But playing with others,
Mm-hmm.
YouTube,
Yeah.
Nyok's website and YouTube's, my website and YouTube's, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and books. I got a huge amount of my education from books.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
have, if I took all the books I've read just on music and stacked them up, they would be like taller than I am if I
Yeah.
stacked all these books up.
Yeah. That's a lot, you know.
Yeah, it's a lot, but I had 30 years. So
Yeah.
so I mean, I would encourage people, to you know, go to many resources. And they're out there. We live in the age now where we're so well connected that you can access most of this information now for free
Yeah, that's
on the
true.
internet.
Yeah.
So you don't have to spend a lot of money. I don't think it's necessary to do what I did, is spend a lot of money on books and things. Go to YouTube, get on the internet mostly, and if you have a question, type it in. You have
Yeah.
a theory question, a technique question,
Yeah.
improvisation question. Now you have to be careful because a lot of the internet is full of what do I call it? Noise, right?
Yeah.
Things that are not useful, or things that are still trapped in the old traditional ways of doing things.
Yeah.
But that's okay. The You can test that very easily, right? What you
Yeah.
do is test it out for yourself. And this is what you said, so nicely, my introduction, that you and I feel the same way. It's like when you teach someone something, you don't say, trust me because I'm a famous piano player. No, you say, try this and you'll
Yeah.
see that it works.
Yeah.
So it's easy to put the truth to the test for yourself
Yeah.
because it'll work. You'll get better fast.
Yeah. That's right. Um, Now we move to the next topic about your journey. You have 29 years um, on your journey to learn to play the piano and teaching piano, and you have some philosophy of playing piano and teaching piano. So, have you ever feel stuck on that journey? Or have you ever feel frustrated with the process and everything? And you can share with people here.
Oh my gosh, Nyok. Yeah, thank you for asking. I think this is like something we can all relate to, right?
Yeah.
I bet there's over 1,000 times I felt so stuck. I wanted to take my piano and roll it down to the river and push it into the river and never play again.
Yeah, for me, I whenever I feel stuck, I will slam on the piano. And for you, you want to put it to the river.
Yeah. And so I'm glad I didn't push it into the river,
Yeah, like for
right?
for
And
one
so that
thousand
would
times,
be,
right?
so that's some words to everyone, right? If you
Yeah.
ever feel stuck, guess what? We all feel stuck.
Mm-hmm.
That's human. And don't think that you're untalented. Just think, well, there is a solution. Just don't give up. Keep
Mm-hmm.
on looking.
Yeah.
Keep
Yeah.
on looking for the solution to your problem because it's out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's true. Like you need to be persistent with the journey. And it's normal to feel frustrated or unmotivated sometimes during the journey. And I think because we all experience that, and some of the students here, they also experience that, and they think that, and they want to quit because they think that they don't have the talents or they don't have what it takes to be successful to play the instrument. Maybe they need a different approach. Maybe they need a different method, a different way to play music. So that's something that we should still seek for the answers to solve the problem. Yeah. And how about how do you define success when playing the piano after 29 years?
This is this is one of my favorite questions. Thanks for asking. Right? It's like, like we said earlier, right? Um, it's not a destination, it's a journey.
Mm-hmm.
So do you find joy in the journey? So my question of what is success for making music? I would say is the same thing as what is success in life? Is like, are you happy?
Mm. Yeah.
And what are some of those things that make you happy? And for me, a lot of the things that make me happy in life are the exact same things that make me happy in music.
Yeah.
And one of those, what I have a list, but one of those things that makes me the happiest is connecting with other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just like we're doing now. It's like, look, I could never guess in a million years
Yeah.
that we would be doing this program today.
Mm-hmm.
Right? What a beautiful thing to be able to connect with you and all the nice people who are quietly watching us. Right?
Yeah.
This is so beautiful to reach across the miles. And boy, what an honor it is. This is like just one of many examples of how music has enriched my life.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And in a way, like I said, it goes way beyond music. It's connecting people all around the world.
Yeah, like it's not something that you want to be like impress people. You don't want to be on the stage and impress other people. You play the most difficult piece in the world and to impress other people, or you compare yourself to the people who play better than you. But it's about to connect people, and that's something that very meaningful to me. I feel that the only way that get me through those difficult times is to play music. And sometimes I share music with my friends and my family. When we have family gathering, we play music when we sing along. And I know that you travel a lot too. You travel all around the world. And share with us about your experience when connect with people through music. Where do you play the piano?
Oh yeah, no, that's great. Thanks for asking. Yeah, I'm very fortunate to have the time and the means to have traveled to many places, and it's amazing how many surprising places have pianos.
Yeah.
You'll find them in like an airport or the train station
Yeah.
or even in the street.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And so, oh my gosh, I have so many stories of people that I've met.
Mm.
And sometimes maybe we play four hands piano, or I play a little bit, then they play a little bit. I've had opportunities to a singer come up to me and ask me, "Hey, can you play this song?" And I'm like, "Sure." And so she sang and I played.
Yeah.
Um, one very special memory though in New York is I got to play uh, with a 90. She was over 90 years old. I got to
90
play with
years
a
old.
90-year-old lady in
Yeah.
Poland, Warsaw, Poland, and
Yeah.
to do some improvisation with her.
Wow. Did she learn classical music, or she can play many genres like you as well?
Well, I don't know. I wish I got to know her better, but I think I think she was like us. I
Yeah.
think she preferred to go to the piano and just kind of
Mm.
play her kind of music.
Mm.
And so we
Yeah.
played four hands together. I didn't speak Polish, and she didn't speak English.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, what a beautiful
Yeah. This is the picture of
experience!
you and her
Ah, yes, how'd you find this?
on your website.
Yes, yes, yes. This is her,
Yeah.
and there's the piano.
Yeah.
You can see the smile on my face. It's like, oh my gosh, such a big smile. Thank you for sharing that, York.
Yeah.
Gosh, you're good. You are so good.
Like what qualities that you think that it helps you to can continue the journey until today and to have success?
Right. Thanks for asking that too. You know, like you said in my introduction, and it's all true. Like I don't have any big talents, right? I don't have perfect pitch. My
Mm.
memory is so-so. My rhythm, technique. The thing that never went away is my love of music
Yeah.
and the curiosity to understand things. Like if I didn't know how to
Mm.
do something, I'm like, wait a second. I watch a YouTube video and there's like a 12-year-old. There's like a little 12-year-old girl from Korea, and
Yeah.
she's just playing beautifully. I'm like, wait a second. My fingers are bigger than hers, stronger than
Yeah.
hers. My brain, this can't be that hard.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Yeah.
now, don't get me wrong. There are true talents. There are people who do have exceptional talents.
Mm-hmm.
But I says, wait a second. I still have a good brain, and I have working eyes and ears and hands and fingers. There's got to be a way to use all these things in a better way. And so I would say I never really had a talent of the music itself, but my talents was the love
Mm-hmm.
and the curiosity and I bet you I know what word you're going to use, the perseverance,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. That's true.
To not give up. And I kept trying and trying and trying. And I'm so glad I did not push my piano into the river. And here we are, right? Here we are.
Yeah. If you push it on the river, we're not here today. And here you playing.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I tell
So
people, don't give up, don't give up.
yeah. Thank you so much. Those very useful information and knowledge, and the philosophy you share is very. I think it's very helpful to us, especially people who are beginners and they're frustrated on the way, or they think that they are too old to play the piano. And look at you. You are an example of someone who, like, at the old age, you still learning, you still playing piano, and you still you're still very passionate about that. It's something that very inspiring to us. And
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Frank, for your amazing performance. Yeah, and you have shared us a lot of your passion, your love for the piano and music, and I know that everybody here is very appreciate that. Thank you very much, Mr. Frank. And now is the next part of the show is the Q&A.
em mời cô Hằng cùng lên sóng luôn ạ.
Vừa rồi thì rất là thích bác, bởi vì bác tự mày mò và theo đuổi đam mê dù tuổi đã lớn. Nhưng mà mình muốn biết, những lúc mình cũng thích lắm, nhưng mà khi mình đàn không được cái bài nào đó, cái mình cảm thấy bất lực và mình nản. Thì làm sao để vượt qua được cái nỗi sợ hãi đó? Cũng giống như vừa rồi mới mua học một khóa cơ bản rồi, bây giờ đã mua một khóa nâng cao, mà đến khi mà học nâng cao rồi cảm thấy khó, cái ngại không, đến nỗi không dám tiếp xúc với cô giáo, cũng không dám, nghĩa là mình thấy sao khó quá gì, khi mình thấy nản, thì làm sao mình vượt qua được nỗi sợ hãi đó để mình tiếp tục. Cảm ơn.
Dạ, cảm ơn cô. Câu hỏi của cô.
Okay, she said that she firstly she admires you very much because you has started to play the piano since you at a very old age like that, and she wants to ask you that how many time a day that you spend on practicing the piano, and at a time that you feel disappointed when you cannot play your favorite song, how did you overcome that boredom, and how can you continue your musical journey?
Thank you so much. First, thank you. Yes. Well, first of all, I do not do exercises.
Dạ, bác nói là đầu tiên là bác không có tập những cái bài luyện ngón. You don't do the finger exercise, right?
No, I do not do finger
Bác không có tập
exercises.
luyện ngón. Yeah.
What I do is I go to the piano and I get my study and practice material right from the music I'm playing.
So you put the sheet music of the song that you want to play in front of you, and you play that?
Yeah, I mean, the sheet music, it could be sheet music, but it also could be me improvising.
Là bác,
Trying to figure out a particular pattern.
yeah, mỗi lần mà bác ngồi vào đàn, bác sẽ chuẩn bị một cái bài hát mà bác muốn chơi, và đó có thể là bản nhạc, cũng có thể là một cái bản mà bác muốn chơi phóng tác lên đó. Thế đó, thì bác sẽ quan sát xem cái bài hát đó có những cái mô thức, những cái công thức nào trong cái bài hát đó. Yeah, okay.
But you know, the goal is always the same, right? I want to get the music inside my ears.
Mục tiêu của bác là làm sao để âm nhạc nó đưa vào tai trước, rồi sau đó mình mới phân tích nó, rồi sau đó mình mới nhìn vô bản nhạc, nhìn vô ngón tay của mình, rồi cuối cùng mình mới bắt đầu chơi trên đàn. Để theo cái thứ tự như vậy. Và how about how long a day do you practice when you beginners, like the first 2 or 3 years, how long a day that you spend?
Well, see, unfortunately, I wasted a lot of time doing finger exercises.
Bác nói là trong 2-3 năm đầu tiên thì bác nghĩ là bác đã lãng phí thời gian cho cái việc là luyện ngón.
Right?
Không
So
cần
here,
thiết phải luyện ngón.
for example, right? Here, can you see this okay?
Yeah.
Right. Right. Doing this, for example, you know, no matter how fast I go, no matter how much I do that, that will never prepare me to do this.
Yeah, bác nói là bác không có ngồi, có nghĩa là cái việc mà luyện ngón giống như lúc đầu mà bác chơi á, đánh từ lên đánh xuống hai tay á, thì nó không có liên quan gì tới việc mà bác có thể chơi được cái phần mà sau bác chạy từ trên xuống dưới đó. Thì cái phần luyện ngón nó không có quyết định tới việc là mình sẽ chơi được cái bài hát đó. Đó, cho dù mình có thể luyện ngón từ chậm lên nhanh, luyện ngón nhanh lên, nhưng mà cái việc kết quả của mình sau này mình chơi thì lại không có liên quan gì tới cái việc luyện ngón đó. Like you improvise the running notes from the top to the bottom of the piano.
Oh, this, you mean like?
Yeah.
So here. Yeah.
How did you practice that? Based on the sheet music or what?
No, this is just an idea that I've come up with. It's part of one of my improvisational ideas.
Yeah.
But there's a certain choreography. We don't have time to go into the details. But you know, it's and then when you put it together, here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I want to explain.
Yeah.
Doing there is not physically exercising my fingers. What I'm doing there is programming my brain
Yeah.
to move my muscles.
Thì bác nói là cái cách bác luyện tập đó không phải là bác cố gắng mà đào tạo cái bàn tay của mình đánh, mà là bác đào tạo cái bộ não của mình để suy nghĩ rồi điều khiển cái bàn tay đó. How about when you come up with a very difficult part, difficult piece of music, and how did you practice that when it's so difficult for you? Because she has the problem because she's now learning the advanced techniques that I share on my advanced course, and she find very frustrated because all the technique is so difficult for her at this point, and she feel frustrated because it's so difficult for her. So when you approach a song or a new technique that's so difficult, how do you practice on that and keep motivated?
Right, so I will say this. You can always play something accurately if you break it down into small pieces.
Yeah.
Or play it slower.
Yeah. Vậy cái cách của bác đó là khi mà tập những cái đoạn khó là cô sẽ có hai cách. Một là cô sẽ làm cho cái đoạn nó ngắn lại, mình tập ví dụ như cái đoạn đó nó dài như thế này, cô chỉ tập từng đoạn nhỏ ngắn thôi, ví dụ như chỉ một ô nhịp, chỉ một vài, ví dụ như cô tập chạy nốt trên 4 quãng khác nhau thì cô sẽ tập một quãng trước, rồi mới quãng thứ hai, mới quãng thứ ba, rồi cách thứ hai nữa đó là mình sẽ tập từ chậm lên nhanh dần đó. Mình sẽ phân nhỏ cái đoạn khó đó, phân nhỏ nó ra, và thứ hai nữa là mình tập thật chậm cái đoạn đó, chứ mình không cố gắng là mình phải làm liền được cái đoạn dài và làm nhanh liền được. Đó, thì cái cách đó nó sẽ giúp cho mình. Yeah, thank you. That's very useful and I think cô cảm thấy như thế nào về câu trả lời của bác?
Cảm ơn rất là nhiều.
She say thank you.
And so I want to say the message is the solution is always found in coming back to practicing good study and practice habits.
Yeah.
And they're simple things. These are very simple things to do. Right? Anybody can do them.
Cảm ơn cô Hằng ạ. Và bây giờ mình sẽ mời Phương, Thảo, Nguyễn, Thái ạ.
Hi, Mr. Frank.
Hello.
I have a question. Yeah. I usually practice the song like feeling the rhythm, and then I practice many times. But after that, when I finish, I smoothly a song, and when I come back the old song before that I have practiced, I forget it, and I cannot play it smoothly as I did before. I don't know the reason why.
Well, first of all, congratulations that you notice that something changed, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that you feel like something's not right tells me that you're a musician. So this is a good thing. First of all, this is a good thing. Now, what the source of that is like, well, something has changed. Right? And so what we need to do is find some consistency. But before we find the consistency, we better make sure that we're doing something the right way. And so this is something I really emphasize, is that, we study first and we practice second.
So her problem is mainly like about her memory, about the song. If she play it, like the first time she practiced and she played that song, it went well, it's smooth. And after maybe 2 or 2 months passed, maybe she will find difficulty to remember that same music piece. Do you understand? And her questions is about how to remember it every time, like the old song that she used to play, and after 1 or 2 months, a few months later, she can still remember that.
Okay. Well, this is into this part, the intellect.
Yeah. Cái vấn đề của chị là cái phần intellect, là phần suy nghĩ, tìm ra được cái bố cục của cái bài hát đó.
Right? We don't want to just play notes. We want to understand what we're playing. So even if we play from written music, we have to go beyond just playing the dots. We need to understand the patterns that we're playing.
Yeah.
And our brain is very good about remembering patterns.
Yeah.
Not very good about just remembering one note at a time. And this is where having a good foundation in music theory really helps.
Yeah, that's true. Để chị có phải là cách tập hiện tại của chị là chị đang tập theo bản nhạc, cố gắng đọc từng nốt rồi thuộc nốt, xong rồi sau đó, đúng không? Chị có thể nói thêm về cách tập hiện tại của mình.
Giống như là hiện tại có nghĩa là mình cũng mới đầu mình nghe cái giai điệu bài hát trước, xong rồi sau đó là mình cũng có nhìn sơ cái sheet nhạc. Chủ yếu là mình nhìn sheet nhạc ở cái phần mà tay trái nhiều hơn, tại vì thường tay phải mình bắt nốt nó cũng khá là lẹ, nhưng mà tay trái hợp âm của mình hơi chậm thì mình hay tập trung sheet nhạc phần tay trái. Nhưng mà sau một thời gian mình thực hành đó, thì mình đờn ok hết rồi, mà tiếp chuẩn bị qua một cái bài mới, mình tập bài mới, bài thứ 2 hoặc bài thứ 3 gì đó ok, thì mình trở lại những cái bài trước đó, thì kiểu như mình không còn smooth như ban đầu nữa, mà nó cứ bị khập khừng đó, tại vì mình tập từ đầu là mình đã không nhìn sheet nhạc và mình không lệ thuộc sheet nhạc nhiều, chủ yếu là mình nhớ cái vị trí nốt nhạc trên phím thôi, cho nên là một thời gian sau đó thì mình lại giống như kiểu mình trả bài rồi mình bị quên đó, nên mình cũng không biết lý do là tại sao, mà mình có nên nhìn trên sheet nhạc hoặc là để sheet nhạc trước mặt để mình khi mình đờn để mà mình đừng có bị tình trạng đó hay không.
Yeah. So her ways of practicing is that she begin with the ear also. She remember the melodies in her ear, and then she use the sheet music. She look at the sheet music, look at the symbols for the chords for the left hand. For the right hand, she can remember it based on the melody she imagined in her head, and she can combine two hands. And then after a few months back, and when she play a new song and she come back to the old song, sometimes she feel like she cannot play it smoothly as before. And her question is that when you forget about a song or a song that you used to practice, do you need to put the sheet music in front of you to remind you?
Right. It's perfectly okay to put the music in front of you, but don't get trapped into playing cymbals.
Bạn nói là những lúc chị quên, chị có thể quên cái bài đó, chị có thể để lại cái sheet nhạc để chị nhìn vào, nhưng mà đừng có bị lệ thuộc trap vào cái những cái nốt nhạc, đọc những cái ký hiệu nốt nhạc đó.
Right? You still want your ears to lead. You don't want to be playing cymbals. Just like when we speak a language.
Yeah.
Right? We don't speak in symbols, we speak in sound.
Yeah. So do you have the same problem when you used to play a song before, and when you coming back to that song for a long time, you don't play it as smoothly as before? You think it's common problem?
Well, and I would say that, you know, I mean, it just naturally, our memories do fade
Đó là bình thường nha chị.
over time, right?
Cái trí nhớ của mình sẽ giảm qua thời gian.
Right. But for lots of musics, you know, if you really, really deeply understand the music,
Nhưng mà một số cái nhạc, nếu như chị thật sự hiểu cái bài hát đó,
right, it shouldn't take much
thì cái việc mà chị quên và chị nhìn lại và chị chơi lại thì nó sẽ không mất quá nhiều thời gian nữa.
to find it again.
Có nghĩa là cái chuyện mà chị chơi cái bài đó và sau này chị không chơi lại nữa thì chị quên một chút là ok, cái chuyện đó là ai cũng sẽ gặp phải. Bởi vì trí nhớ của mình nó không có giữ được lâu như vậy. Nhưng mà cái vấn đề đây là làm sao để khi mà mình nhìn lại cái bài hát đó, mình chỉ cần bỏ lên và mình không mất quá nhiều thời gian để thuộc lại, để chơi lại được. Đó. Thì để làm được điều đó thì mình phải hiểu được cái bản nhạc đó. Nhiều khi mà chị chơi đàn á, chị phải nhớ theo những kiểu là mô thức và công thức. Ví dụ như là một câu nhạc nó có 4 hợp âm từ A, C, E, F gì đó. Rồi câu thứ hai là làm sao? Đó, thì mình sẽ nhớ theo từng câu về từng cái công thức của cái bài đó. Thì nó sẽ dễ cho mình hơn là mình cố gắng mình nhớ hết cả bài. Đó, hoặc là khi mà chị chơi mình sẽ phân đoạn ra ok, đoạn intro bắt đầu từ nốt này, hợp âm này là bắt đầu và cái đường đi hợp âm của nó là 4 hợp âm đầu tiên là như vậy, 4 hợp âm tiếp theo là như vậy. Đó, cái cách nhớ của mình là nhớ theo dạng công thức chứ không phải nhớ theo dạng là cố gắng nhớ hết bài theo cái việc là đọc nốt. Dạ rồi, cái này có giải đáp được cái thắc mắc của chị chưa?
Dạ ok, mình hiểu rồi.
Dạ. Thank you so much. Ask you now.
Hello, xin chào.
Hello. And this is my brother.
Hey, hello, xin chào, young man.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. So yeah, he's always watching YouTube videos because he watches cartoons a lot and he wants to play the songs from the cartoons. That's why he used YouTube videos to like imitate the songs. But I think that somehow he's not using his intellect to play the songs. So what do you think about this?
Well, I have a question for you, right? I mean, how is he? Is he just learning them by ear?
He has been learning the piano by the notes already. Like he knows how to read the notes on the sheet.
Okay.
Yeah, but
The videos, is it this thing where the notes kind of come down like this? Like
yeah. That's it. Yeah, the notes come down and you look on the keyboard.
Right. To me, this is a absolutely terrible way to learn how to play music because it just, right, there's just, you know, one note at a time. Right? But that's not how music works, right? It's just because that's not it. To use the language, you know, learning English, for example, right? you don't speak English or any language by going one syllable at a time. So no, I see these things like the synesthesia, they call it. It would be like going like this. It goes like, E, D sharp, E, D sharp, E, B, D natural, C, A, with right? And now the music's going like this. But no, we want to read the music like this. Boom, I want to read this. Then I want to read this. Then I want to read this. Right? I want to understand. I want to learn how to read and express myself in complete musical ideas, not one note at a time. Right? So you're asking the right question, and I think you already know the answer. That this is not a good way to learn how to play, and it's very vulnerable to forgetting because you're just remembering one note at a time instead of learning how to speak the language.
Yeah, but like my brother is kind of young, so he wants to learn somehow. It's fast because using the YouTube video, it's fast and it helps him to like imitate the notes pretty quickly. So he likes it, and it helps him motivate him in learning the piano. But I don't think it's good. But my parents think that, well, it motivates him, so why bother? Things like that. So yeah. So do you think that there's any other way which can help him motivate the piano learning without using that method?
Right. Well, yeah, I certainly don't want to do anything to take someone's motivation away. Right? I mean, if he is having fun playing it, absolutely I would encourage that. But what you can do is encourage him now to start thinking in bigger ideas, right? Instead of just learning one note at a time, maybe, 10, he's old enough and he looks like a pretty smart boy to start studying music theory, right? And if is there someone in the house who knows a little bit about music theory? Like, do you, for
Yeah,
example, know a little bit?
I do. I learned the piano since I was in grade 2, but I don't practice it. I don't practice too much, but I can like play it, and I usually play by looking at the sheets and not like YouTube videos like him. Yeah.
Right. So I would never, again, I would never discourage, I would never take away a source of someone's motivation. But maybe you can start to encourage, like, oh, by the way, do you see the patterns? And so instead of thinking about it as like, oh, we are going to learn music theory today and get all serious, we can go to the piano and say, do you notice that? Look how these notes line up. You see that, how they go together? This forms up a scale or a piece of a scale. Or do you see how they go this way? This makes a chord. And then ask, well, what does that chord do? What does that scale do? And then you can introduce the idea of, meter and form and chord progressions and, harmonic tension and release. Right? So if someone knows all those things, then you start coming at the music instead of just like, figuring it out one note at a time. Now you're starting to understand what you're playing.
Well, I don't know about that. Sometimes I'm not that good. Yeah.
Right. So I mean, you can help him. You can help him maybe like start to ask these questions without getting too serious about it. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just start looking for the patterns in the music rather than just one note, like notes that come along without any relationship to each other.
Mm.
There it is. I'm sorry. I'm guilty of talking too much. I know you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know, but I don't really know that much about music to like be able to teach him how to the chords, because actually I myself don't even like correctly can hear the music and I can imitate by using the right hand, but my left hand skills is crazy. I cannot imitate the songs using the left hands. So that is one of my problems, and that's one of the things that stop me from playing piano so many times, because I'm so frustrated with finding the notes on the left hand. Yeah, that's why.
Well, here's a chance for you and your brother to work together, right? I always find two heads are better than one.
Yeah, I think the way that she practice piano is still dependent on the sheet music a lot, because she played the classical way. So reading the symbols, but she doesn't know much about harmony, about chord progression. That's why she couldn't also see the pattern. So maybe the advice for her is to try to approach a modern way of learning to play the piano with the chord progression, with the chords, and start with that.
Right, that's great. I think so. If your big sister, you can set an example
Yeah.
that, hey, this is an invitation maybe for you, big sister, to start studying music theory. That you can help your little brother, what's the word? Elevate his relationship to the notes he's playing, so that he's now seeing the patterns.
Yes, thank you so much for your answer. I will try and learn with them. I
Here
think
we
it's
go.
good.
Good luck to you.
Cảm ơn Tiên. Chị nghĩ là em nên bắt đầu học theo cái phương pháp là hợp âm á. Khi mà em đọc bản nhạc em sẽ biết thử bài đó là giọng gì, hợp âm gì. Và bài đó ví dụ như khi mình chơi bài mình sẽ phân câu phân đoạn ra. Thường cái cách sáng tác của người ta là một câu của người ta là 4 hợp âm. Đó. Và mình phải biết được ở tay trái người ta chơi những hợp âm gì, trong hợp đó gồm những cấu tạo những nốt gì. Thì cái pattern mà bác nói nó giống như vậy đó. Đó, thì còn bé em á, còn bé nhỏ 10 tuổi á, thì hiện tại thì bé đang thích chơi theo cái cách đó, thì cứ để cho bé chơi. Nhưng mà có thể là tới độ tuổi khoảng 12 tuổi thì bắt đầu là bé sẽ cảm thấy là lỡ như trên YouTube mà con không tìm thấy được cái bài hát con thích, thì bây giờ con làm sao con đánh được, đúng không? Bây giờ con thích một bài đó lắm, mà bây giờ YouTube không có ai làm video cho con hết, làm sao con biết con đánh đó? Thì con sẽ nghĩ tới cái vậy bây giờ con phải cố gắng con học để con biết làm sao để cái bài nào con cũng biết đánh, con nghe là con chơi được đó. Giống như mình gieo vào đầu bé cái ý thức giống như vậy, thì bé sẽ ok bây giờ cho con học thêm những cái ví dụ như là lý thuyết về âm nhạc, về vòng tròn bậc 5 đó, hoặc là những cái phương pháp chơi piano hiện đại hơn đó, thì mình có thể cho bé tiếp cận từ từ như vậy. Còn ví dụ như bây giờ bé chơi những cái bài hát thì có thể là ok, đừng có cố gắng là nhìn từng nốt chạy xuống rồi đánh thuộc theo từng nốt, mà ví dụ như ok một câu hát của người ta là như vậy thì con sẽ thấy tay trái của con đi từ nốt này qua nốt này qua nốt này thì đó là những hợp âm gì đó, học theo từng câu như vậy và tìm ra cái công thức chung của những cái bài hát đó, thì đó mình bắt đầu tiếp cận giống như vậy.
Dạ em cảm ơn chị.
Okay. So now is the last question from Thơ.
Hello, Sir Frank.
Hey.
Recently I have started to write my own music sheet in my own style, because there are a lot of my favorite songs that they don't have music sheets online, or maybe they're too expensive that I cannot afford. And when I write the music, I found that there are some mistakes that I cannot recognize it. So do you have any tips or any advice for me so that I can find the errors that then maybe appears in my music sheet and I overcome that struggle?
Yes. Well, first, I agree with you. I mean, buying sheet music is quite expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even when you do buy sheet music, a lot of the times it doesn't even sound like the music you love to hear on the radio or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? So what I'm hearing is you would like to learn how to play some popular music?
Yes.
You have the melody, maybe, but maybe the harmony is not quite right.
Yeah.
Or something. I do the same thing because of most of my musical life has been spent playing in bands. And so for the most part, I'm learning how to play off the recordings. And it's frustrating sometimes to find accurate parts for the piano,
Yeah.
especially, right?
Yes.
And of course, the piano, there's a lot of things going on, right? There's like, oh my gosh, there's so many little details. It's like, why doesn't that quite sound right? Um, so the good news is there are some resources out there that you can tap into. Like a lot of people will be on YouTube. So, just do a search on YouTube for the particular song you want to learn how to play. And, there's a pretty good chance that there's someone out there who has a tutorial on how to play the piano part. So, that's one answer. The other answer is sometimes it's not really the detail of things, but you want to try to find the right chord to play. Am I hearing that right?
Yeah. Because sometimes it's very hard for me to find the correct
Right.
chords to play.
And so one thing that can be very helpful is there's a lot of content on the internet where they just have the lyrics
Yeah.
and the chord symbols.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of times these chord symbols are not really accurate, but sometimes they are, and at least they'll get you, moving in the right direction. And then, so you try that. And then the other thing also that happens is the more and more you do this, the better your ears are going to become. And you're going to start to hear more and more of the details. But unfortunately, you're right. It's a frustration for piano players that it's really difficult to find accurate piano parts for a lot of the songs that we want to play. And at some point, unfortunately, sometimes you just have to maybe, buy the sheet music, even if it's just to learn like one little piece.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
But yeah, you're not alone. You are not alone.
Yeah. Do you have any like tips to find the chords more easily and fast? Because there are some songs that they don't have the chords online because my taste of music is not really popular.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I just when I write my own music sheet, I just have to like find one key in a bunch of the key on the keyboard, and it's really waste my time, and I just want to make it faster.
Oh, okay. Well, I have to without hearing exactly what kind of music you're talking about. Um, you know, I I I don't want to, I don't want to criticize what you just said, but just hunting for the notes, don't view that as a waste of time,
Oh yeah.
right? Because if you find the right notes, I mean, there's only so many notes. So if something doesn't sound right, well, change something.
Yeah, I think this is idea about the perfect pitch and the relative pitch, because normal, like like we mostly not many people have the perfect pitch where they hear no and they can press the right note. So we have relative pitch. That's why we need the keyboard and we need to try different notes to see which one is right. And this okay. And I still do the same. And if you want a tool to recognize which chord that is played in a song, you can use the app called Codified, and you put in the link of the video of the song that play, and it will interpret all the chords that play in that song. It's using the AI technology.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right. And oh, by the way, yes, no, that's a good point. Plus, I would ask, and blah. This is where studying music theory the right way really helps, because when we study music theory, again, the goal is not to get a good grade or good mark on a music theory test. The goal of studying music theory is to help us perform better. And how do we perform better? We perform better by understanding the music we're playing.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that understanding is learning how to listen. And so you're going to learn how to listen. When you study the music theory the right way, you're going to start to learn how to listen. And you're going to realize that, again, this is another thing where music theory and ear training are so poorly taught. Because, for example, when people talk about scales, they think, well, scales are just, a bunch of notes in a row. Do, let me find a note. Do, right? Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Well, that's not what a scale really is. It's really hierarchical. And chords too, the same thing with chords. Chords, when you arrange them in a song from a chord progression, where they're hierarchical. And, when we listen to these things, you don't listen to these things where all the notes are equal. Just like when I'm speaking to you, right? The note, the words like and, the, but. These words are not as important, right? As, ears, intellect, right? Eyes, muscles. Right? And so music is the same way. It's like language. The way we listen to music is similar to the way we construct and comprehend language. And it's hierarchical. It's not linear. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree with that. So thank you very much for your advice, and it's really informative and useful for self-learners like me. And so this is the end of the talk show.
Thank you so much, Frank, for joining us today. We all send a thank you, and we are very grateful to have you on the show today. And I wish you the best. I wish you to have good health to continue the music journey. And you inspire us so much, for your journey and for what you've been through. We very appreciate that, and we very grateful for your time and your effort to be here today. Thank you so much, Frank.
Well, Miss
Thank
Nook, yes,
you.
thank you so much.
And so this is the end of the talk show. And I want to say thank you to all the audience here have spent your time on joining this talk show tonight, and hope you good night. And thank you, Miss Ngọc, very much for organizing this talk show to share everyone here the experience about self-learning the piano. Miss Ngọc, do you have anything more to say?
Oh, thank you so much for Mr. Frank, because you spending time for us today. And thank you for 30 people are still in the Zoom and still watching us till the end. We very appreciate that you join us and you send questions and spend time with us today. Again, I really appreciate and honor to have Frank here today.
Well, Miss
Thank
Nook, yes,
you.
thank you so much. What an honor and a pleasure and a privilege it is to be here and to share my love of music with everyone. Thank you to you, Ms. Nyok, and your whole team, and to the audience which stuck around.
Yeah. Bây giờ mọi người có now everybody can turn on their camera and we take a whole screen picture of all the participants here. Mọi người có thể mở lên cái webcam của mình được không ạ? Và mình cùng giơ tay để chào bác Frank được không? Mọi người cũng có thể là bật voice lên. Thank you. Mọi người có thể bật camera lên hết được không ạ? You see all the face here.
Look at